I'm Robert, and welcome back to the yoga massage course. In this video, we're going to go over the hips, the gluteals, and their connection to a lot of people's low back pain. They're very interrelated structures, even though we can talk about specific muscles that we're going to address while the receiver is on their back. Although we're working on specific muscles related to the hips, the pelvic bowl, the gluteal muscles, you're gonna use those same muscles in tons of standing yoga poses, meaning triangle, downward facing dog, Virabhadrasana, all the warrior poses. You're using all of these muscles constantly. And when it comes to low levels of anxiety and stress, tend to lead towards more relaxed musculature. People who have high anxiety, high stress, and high levels of pain often seem to have higher levels of muscular tension that we're trying to use this to reduce. This is just as applicable to people who are having a little bit of discomfort and tightness in their hips as it is to anyone who generally would come into a yoga class. So we're going to have Lucy lay down on the mat, feet down towards me and head down towards there. We're going to pull the mats together. And then let me see, when you extend your legs, how are they right there? I think that'll work. So I believe what will work best is I'm going to have this leg up, and you can watch this. I'm going to have this knee down and this leg into my holster here because I want to be mostly hands-free because I want to start to work through your hips. You mentioned that you're a little bit sore. Yeah. So as I move you around, if anything's uncomfortable, just let me know because I'm really using my body to just get a handle here. I can assist just a little bit with the hand and arm. How's that on your back?
It's good.
Glutes, legs, yeah, comfortable?
It's good.
There we go. Lots of this mobilization. If it's too much pressure on my knee here, again, I would put a blanket down. We'll show that in just a minute. And then I can bring the knee gently towards her shoulder. All of this movement, even though I am holding on at the leg, we're influencing the hip and all the pelvic bowl. As they do this, do you see all the hip movement? And open your arms out for me. There you go. Too much?
No, it feels good.
Feels good. That's what I wanted. Then, if I back out, see the little range of motion? This is one I want to play with, and I think that'll give us enough of a foundation so you can start working on her, and I can give you some additional assists. Not too much pressure? Good. Allow me to see just how tender you were. I'm going to put her leg down, and then let's bring a blanket in so you can get started. That would be too much on my knee. So the main order of business is Lucy is fine on her back. Doesn't feel uncomfortable?
No.
But for you, you want some padding for your knee. So come on in, and I want you to put her in your holster. I can walk you through that. There you go.
Okay, am I doing the same thing as you?
Yep, just little range of motion. I want you to get comfortable with foot position. So like this guy, you can eventually let go there. There you go. Because this guy's free and open. You can reach your arm out if you want. Because the real movement comes from your hips and your pelvic bowl. And if you decide you want to bring the knee closer to the shoulder, you're probably going to have to scoot that knee a little further forward. There you go. Now lean in. Give her feedback if it's too much.
That's good.
There you go. There you go. The pressure is always general to specific, superficial to deep. General to specific, superficial to deep. We started with just a real simple range of motion. As they work, I can give them additional options that gives them a bit more depth, more compressive force. But as you're mobilizing her hip, where's the tightness? If you take it as a door hinge, hey, it's long, flowing, smooth. Wait, what was this? Hey, this is all Crypt Keeper. What is this? Amityville Horror. That's where you wind up working and you go, what was this? Was it the adductors on the inside of the thigh? Was it the deep lateral rotators? Is it the quadriceps, the hamstrings, the IT band? You're using movement to try to find a movement restriction and then help the person with it. If you bring her knee towards her shoulder, lean in. And what you'll notice on camera is Lucy's left leg bent at the knee and lifted up a little bit. Take a little bit of the pressure off now. Okay, now with your right palm, can you put your right palm down above her knee on that leg? And I want you to turn the palm so that it feels comfortable to you. And then slowly, as you're wrapped right big broad on top, I want you to lean in.
Lean in here.
Because you're resisting.
Okay. Just like that.
And then give her feedback, it was too much.
That's good.
It's adding a bit of depth. If you don't like where your palm is on the other arm, you can lift it higher towards the thigh. I mean, not towards the thigh, but higher up the thigh. It just depends on what feels comfortable to you. Are you holding any tension?
A little bit. Can you notice?
Where? Shoulders?
Yeah.
Yeah, just move them around. Roll them out. Normally what I'll do is rock in for 3 to 5 seconds and then rock out. And then rock in for 3 to 5 seconds and then rock out, because you rock me like a hurricane. Yes, rock out. Now, as far as her knee position, it's gonna have a pretty profound effect. If I lean in here, is that too much?
No.
Do you want a little more? Okay, so do this. Use your hand. Can you guide her knee a little bit that way? What's the difference?
It's a little bit tighter.
A little bit tighter? And then bring her a little bit more lateral. And then lean in.
That's tight too.
Yep. And it's not either or, it's just exploring range of motion. It's just lengthening muscles. What you're fundamentally doing is we're using her leg as a handle to reach down around her sacrum, down around her pelvic bowl, but we don't have to put our hands there. I'm using movement to access those muscles all the way down to their origin. So if we talk about the adductors connect along the pubic bone, the pubis, the pubis symphysis. They connect here. If I go in and put my hands here, it's considered untoward. If I hold her leg and mobilize her, it feels totally fine. I'm able to access that tissue without putting my hand directly on her pubic bone. And how are you feeling?
Good.
Not too much on your knee? Okay. Just to change it up, let's have you take her out of the holster, and I want you to use your hands. You can stack your body however feels comfortable. You might have this leg up, doesn't matter to me. I want you to bring her through a little circle and windmill kind of range of motion. And when you come up, I want you to bring this knee towards the opposite shoulder. That's more gluteals.
Yeah, okay.
That's more piriformis.
Okay.
Knee to opposite shoulder, piriformis. It makes me sound very, very nice at a party. I'll flirt with young ladies and talk about their piriformis. They have no idea what I just said. And I said, piriformis is a muscle that connects along the greater trochanter of your femur down to your sacrum. It's Latin for pear-shaped. Right? Deep muscle in the gluteals. When she brings knee to opposite shoulder,
Does this need to move this way?
optional.
Okay.
I normally don't want a huge amount of movement over the knee,
Right.
just because it's like you're turning the knee. Yeah. Mainly what I'm doing at first is I'm going to focus just on the gluteals, but I'm going to walk you through this part next
Does
because
this need to be lifted versus...
I would keep her lax first, but we're going to build towards that. So when you bring her in, knee to opposite shoulder, do you want more pressure or less?
A little bit more.
A little bit more. So there you go. Aha. Now, you're at opposite shoulder. What happens if you lean an inch this way, medial, or an inch that way, lateral? Oh, because what you're doing is you're using movement to search through her gluteals and say, where is the spot there? Where is the tightness? Where is the restriction? Piriformis, it is Latin for pear-shaped. The form of a pear, piriformis. You laugh, but it'll help you remember it. Piriformis is a muscle deep square in the keister. A lot of people who say they have sciatica. Keister, also Latin. No, I think it's German. Deep in the gluteals, when people say they have sciatica, normally their piriformis is tight and it's pressing on the sciatic nerve, it's a good way to gently lengthen this. Now, if we bring her knee to opposite shoulder with this hand, how's your palm here? Comfortable? Now, put the heel of her foot in the center of your palm. Think shot put. Now lengthen her hamstring. Give her feedback.
Let me know when. It's pretty tight right there.
Okay.
Stop here.
3 to 5 seconds. And then back off. Now, both came off. Now it starts to become two pieces. It'll become fluid as you practice. You come around, knee to opposite shoulder again. Just let her leave her leg bent initially. Lean in, knee to opposite shoulder. Then give her some shot put. Give her some leg length so we can lengthen the hamstrings here. There you go. Now, if you are a very flexible yogi and you need a little bit more, here's the trick. Some people are going to be able to lengthen their hamstring almost completely. When you bring her in again and lengthen her hamstring, I want you to pull your foot gently back towards your face. Feel the difference?
Yeah.
Yep. Lengthens this entire back line and has an effect on the hamstrings as well. If you're super flexible and you want to add that in, feel free to. That's going to give some people that little bit of oomph they need if their hamstrings are exceptionally open. Now, this time, instead of going knee to opposite shoulder, can you roll her just a little further over, almost like a twist? How does it feel in your low back?
Feels good.
Good.
All the way over?
Yep, and then what I would do is kind of bring her around and make it a long, fluid motion. And you can rearrange your own body in whatever way is going to make it comfortable. Long, fluid motion.
Is that too much? No, that's good.
Yep. And would you prefer to stay in that position?
Yeah, maybe for a second.
Okay, so bring her over almost like she's on her side.
Knee all the way over?
Yeah.
She's about to drop over.
No, okay, so do this. I want you to step your foot underneath that knee.
Here.
Yep, hold her in position. There you go. Now how's that?
That's good.
Aha. Now, if you feel comfortable enough doing this, palms down right on the gluteals. Right there.
like that?
A little bit of compressive force.
down?
Is it too much on the hip that's on the floor?
No.
Okay.
That's really good.
It's opening these structures that we were just lengthening, right? But we built up to this. If you don't feel comfortable putting your hands directly on the student's gluteals, the person you're working on, you can put a towel down, you can put a blanket down, and then you can press through the towel or blanket. In this case, I knew that they were comfortable enough to do this. And she gets what? Oh, she's in a twist. Now what happens if she breathes very deeply? She gets a chance to feel where is she holding tension. A lot of times if I'm delivering a compressive force like this, I'll say, hey, breathe into here. And they go, Robert, I don't have lungs in my tuchus. And I say, no, but you're going to feel movement around there, right? Yeah. Now you can see with her twist, she's opened up to this point. Is the hip on the ground okay? Okay. I'm going to change her arm position. We're going to give you an additional piece. You see how this shoulder has lifted? I want you to keep this hand on the gluteals, probably posterior to the trochanter. Very gently. Take a big in breath for me. And as she exhales, just give her a little bit extra up in the pec and chest here.
Is that good? Yeah.
There we go. I couldn't tell it felt good by the way her eyes rolled into the back of her head. Yeah. Now are you feeling comfortable?
Good, yeah.
Good. And if you take a little bit of the pressure off, for some people, the long, sustained, held compression might not work. What you could do with this hand is if you grab onto the shoulder, can you give her like a little lift and movement here?
Oh, nice.
Because now you're toggling, you're thinking spine, right? But you've also got pressure here at the gluteal, and then you've also got pressure here at the shoulder. So is it deltoid? Is it pecs? It's a little bit of all of it, depending on what you want to work on. If you feel comfortable enough, what about the ribs through here? This would be soft and gentle.
To push this way.
Yep, we're thinking
Push
about
down.
rib motion on exhale. So if I hold right about there, you can try it. Jostle her just a little bit. Yep. Because we're thinking about ribs now and how the ribs go around to the posterior and connect along the spine. When she finds a good spot, I want you to tell me so she can hold that.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Can you hold that comfortably? Now breathe. Breathe into her hand. I also could not tell that felt good by the way her eyes rolled back in her head. There you go. So just little bits of pieces you can add. There is a huge range of potential here because the primary workhorse was the leg. She's held her in place with her leg. Her hands are free to add all these secondary and tertiary components where you can do 2 or 3 things at once depending on the person you're working on. How does your low back feel, Lucy?
Yeah, it's fine.
Good. It's not too much on the hip on the ground. And I just get feedback because we're on a yoga mat on a fairly hardwood floor. I just want to make sure that the receiver feels comfortable. To exit out of this, what I'll have you do is remove your foot, and then you can reach down to the lower leg, maybe around the calf, just above the ankle. Bring her back to neutral. And then you can give a little bit of traction to her leg. So if you let her leg lengthen and you bring your body out that way, you can just give her a little bit of pull, just a little bit of traction. There you go. You don't want to rapidly move somebody's knee where it like snaps back. You don't want to hyperextend at the knee, but being able to give her a little bit of traction is good. I would normally have the giver work on both sides when they do this, but for the purposes of our demonstration here, we're going to have them switch out and work on each other again. And then we can move the blanket in whatever way is needed. Lindsay will have you lay down. There you go. And then you can extend both legs out. You'll bring her leg up and then hook into your holster right there. So you're gonna bring this knee up. And that is why we need this guy.
This one?
Yep, and just making sure we give you enough space there. All hips. So the hands can help steer the knee a little bit, but mostly it's all hip movement. Feel free to give her feedback. She does yoga often enough, she can probably get close to putting her knee on her shoulder.
More. A little bit more. That's good.
Yeah. And then movement, you can have the knee a little bit more lateral. You can have it a little bit more medial to the midline. Just depends on the person you're working on and how they feel. Comfortable on your knee?
Yeah.
There you go. So, if Lucy is working on her big burly boyfriend, she gets to use all of her body weight because it's from her pelvis. It's not just her hands anymore. So when her boyfriend has problems with his low back, she's able to use this to manhandle him and start to move him around through there because it's allowing a smaller, more petite therapist to work on a larger client easily and effortlessly.
So I noticed that during some of the movements, I'm tensing my leg.
Yep.
How, like, I feel like
A lot of it
supported
A
more.
lot of it will depend on position
Okay.
and practice.
Okay.
So some of it is
For me, practice.
you're used to having muscular tension in certain yoga poses.
Yeah.
You get the shakes. Yeah. The same thing will happen here. You're using your body in a different way. I've done this so many times, I don't even think about it anymore because I've already developed the hip flexibility. When I work with massage therapists who have no awareness of their lower body, no awareness of their hips, no awareness of their legs, no lower body strength, they feel like a fish out of water when I teach this sometimes. It just takes practice. Yeah. How much shoulder strength and stability do massage therapists have?
I don't know.
They use this constantly.
Yeah.
How often do they stabilize through their hips? And exactly.
Yeah.
So you're shifting your center of gravity lower towards Dantian or Hara. And when you give her pressure, how far can you bring her knee in? Yep. She'll let you know if it's too much. See how the other leg lifts?
Yep.
So now when you take a little pressure off, can you put this palm down on her thigh and give her some feedback if you need pressure in a different spot?
Okay.
Now lean in.
That's good right there.
There you go. Now you can still guide her a little bit toward the midline or a little bit more lateral, just ask for feedback. Some of it will depend on your hip strength and stability. But when I'm doing all this, I'm moving my legs around. I'm stabilizing through my core like I was in triangle pose. I'm learning how to strengthen my core and stabilize. And you're gonna wind up doing this again and again and again. Just like any physical activity, your body becomes more accustomed to it the more you do it. If it feels mildly uncomfortable, like you're doing squats and you're using a muscle you're not used to using, that's one thing. If it feels painful, just back off. Lessen the pressure, lessen the angle. And then give her 3 to 5 seconds. And then anchor there and then lean in again. Is it too much pressure where her hand is? Okay. Body weight. Knee to same shoulder while they're in the hip holster. Knee to same shoulder. When you do knee to opposite shoulder, they're coming out of the holster. Do you want a little bit more on this hip? It's good. So take her out of the holster. Think of taking the femur here just in big circles this way. There you go. And give her a little bit more focus on coming towards the opposite shoulder. There you go. And with this hand, can you move it underneath the knee right there? Gives you a little more pressure. There you go. Knee to opposite shoulder. Now when you find a spot, was it down below where you went, ooh?
Right there.
Okay, hold her there for a second. Can you give her a bit more? There you go. And breathe, there. And then does she want a little bit down below? Or
yeah, like
there you go. Aha. Now, what I'm doing is I'm saying, what is that? Do you feel that in your hip or do you feel it in your back? Feel it in her gluteals. So she's probably having some issues with the deep lateral rotators. She's probably got a little bit of tightness in piriformis. There might be a little bit of gluteus medius in there, and that is to say, just muscles in her glutes. Just generally. There's tons of small movements that muscles that control those sort of intricate movements there. We're using movement to find out what muscle is probably the primary issue. So then bring her around to knee to opposite shoulder and really anchor that knee towards the opposite shoulder. Is that too much there? Now, if you put this hand, the palm, right at the heel, if you think shot put and give her some length on the hamstrings, this is a yogi, right? Really open hamstrings. Most people at home will not be able to do this. It doesn't matter, it's not a competition. You're gonna work on a guy who's gonna be at 90 degrees and this is his hamstring stretch. That's it, and it's fine. If you want more, go ahead and back off again. And then, so the backing on and off is a little bit different than how we would think of yoga. I find whenever it's passive for Lindsey, it allows her to release because she feels safe if the person rocks on for 3 to 5 seconds instead of just holding the pose like in yoga and breathe. Yeah. So bring her in, bring her some hamstring stretch. When you want more, bring your foot back towards your knee. There you go. Feel the difference? Yep. Lengthen soleus, the gastrocs, that back leg line. There you go. Now what do you think? The twist or you want more of that?
I like the twist.
She likes the twist. So bring her over. It's almost like her hips are gonna face that way. You're gonna step this leg through. The shin is gonna be underneath her knee. There you go. And then with this, we're gonna slide this under your knee again because I want you to be comfortable. There. Now what you've got is generally about 90 degrees from the femur to the spine. 90-degree angle. You can put your palms down right over the gluteals right here. You're gonna feel kind of a bony knob. That's the greater trochanter of the femur. Again, makes me sound impressive at a party. It's just a bony knob on the upper leg where the muscles connect. You're able to press usually behind that where the heel of your hand is. There you go. Oof.
Yeah, that's
We have an oof. A state of oof has been declared. How's it on your wrists?
Yeah, it feels fine.
Okay. And she's
They do this with fists.
using the palms to reinforce. You could use fists. I normally don't like these quite as much. What I really do like is I'm gonna take her hand here and I'm gonna change the position right there. Now, how does that feel?
Yeah, that's better.
Sometimes it depends on the person. There's no right or wrong. Like the fists aren't wrong, back of hand isn't wrong. But what's the rotation that feels good to you and then also feels the most comfortable to her?
They all fit to me.
Yeah. Then the additional piece was if you're holding with your right hand, Lucy, then what happens if this hand comes to the shoulder and gives her just a little bit of jostle? Get a feel for like range of motion first. And then how's the hand down here?
Good.
Good, okay. There. So if you find that spot that she says is really good, communicate with her and bring her to her comfortable edge.
Perfect.
Now breathe for me. There you go. Tons of movement. Works on the hip, works on the gluteals, works along the spine. There's a twist. Then at the same time, you can work on the deltoids, you can work on the pec, you're retracting the shoulder blade. Tons of movement. Once you're working on 2 or 3 things at a time, you can toggle from one thing to the other, just like you're in triangle pose. And are you working around the knee to stabilize? Are you working around the hip to twist? Are you lengthening the spine? Well, all of that. Because in the end, you're just working on Lindsey. In the end, you're just trying to help her embody and have a good experience of movement to be able to decrease stress, can't speak it? To decrease stress and unwind tension. How's that on your right palm there?
It's getting a little.
So change it. Yep.
Switch it up.
Do you want more pressure at the gluteals?
It feels good.
Feels good? Would you like a little more pressure?
Sensitive spot on my
Yeah.
deltoid too.
So here's what I want you to do. Step out from here for just a second. I want you to drop down and use your forearm and elbow in the gluteals. Think about being posterior to that bony knob.
There, that's, yeah.
Okay? Now, if you can balance here, can this hand still come up?
Yeah.
Lots of changes depending on body size, depending on the person you're working on. I don't want you to think that I'm just teaching you one absolute sequence that you have to follow in exactly the same way. The work gets interesting when you veer off-road. When you go off-road, you have to communicate with the receiver more. So the fingers here, broad, like there you go. And if you have, there you go. If you have questions, ask her for feedback. You can make small shifts, like if you focused on this, you could say, hey, do you like more pressure this way? More that way. More in. There you go. And then she liked to slide. And then do you need more pressure in the gluteals or more sharp? It's good. If you get tired of reaching into the arm, you can have both hands come back. Now think both forearms. There you go. Tons of options. How does it feel in your back?
It's getting a little tense in the
Okay.
back.
So stack your body weight so that you can lean down and in, but your chest is kind of high.
Like,
Yeah.
more like this.
So here's what I'll have you do. Well, we'll change it up real quick just to see how it goes. What happens if you bring your other knee out and you bring your other knee over here? So you kneel, now lean in, both. There you go.
Yeah, that's good.
There you go. Because she's already in a reclined twist. She's already relaxed. She's not gonna roll over too much. It's gonna give her a little bit more compressive force and take the pressure off of her hands. When she was working, it looks like she was torquing this just a little bit. So I'm just trying to give her a slightly different tool. Once you learn how to do what I'm teaching, it's almost like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. There are no limits. You're using any tool available from hands, fingers, palms, forearms, knees, feet, sit bones, yeah. And in her case, because her knee is up, let's see if we can give her a bolster.
That's nice.
It depends on how long you're going to keep the person in position. And again, I don't want you to feel like you're stuck doing one specific thing. I'm just giving you a general set of guidelines. It's almost like syntax or sentence structure, and then you can fill in different words.
Those are all really good spots.
What I do notice as both a massage therapist and a yoga teacher is I can take a yoga student, they can go through a pose, they believe that they don't have any tension around their hips. I can work on them like this and go right there, and they go, ooh, it's like a fire lit up. I can maintain a little bit of pressure there to provide a stimulus. Their body will respond, and then I can hop out and say, listen, hop up and do triangle pose again. And they go, oh my God, I had no idea, because we're communicating with their nervous system. And what I see with a lot of people in the yoga community is they're stretching around tension instead of going through it. My fundamental belief is that the reason Bikiesa Iyengar developed props was because he was releasing that tension in his own body, and he figured out he could do it more safely and more effectively, more rapidly by providing kinesthetic cues. Hands-on adjustments and the use of props is the high art in yoga, which means I'm giving her a way of working on herself, but I'm also able to provide a stimulus to bring more awareness to a different part of the body to help the nervous system unwind. We've had Lindsey in this position for quite a while. How do you feel on your hip that's on the ground?
It feels fine.
It feels fine? Okay. I'm just checking again about pressure. Normally for a receiver, that'll be the most uncomfortable part is if we're kind of mashing them into the floor. I'm gonna have Lucy back off and grab onto her leg and then give her a little bit of traction. You can walk yourself out, you can stand up if you want. You just want to give a little bit of length just to gently traction her low back. I'm going to slide this guy out. Normally I would have her work on the opposite leg, but we're going to go ahead and conclude. You would do the exact same thing to the opposite leg. In the next video in our course, we're going to continue working on the gluteals, but we're also going to add in some hamstrings, and we're going to do it from prone position, where the person is down on their front. I'm glad you enjoyed this video. Please join us for our full yoga massage course that's available at wellnessplus.tv, and you can watch it for free on Amazon Prime. To learn more about me, you can go to robertgardnerwellness.com and check out all of my social media.
We at Wellness Plus specialize in all things health and wellness, ranging from yoga and fitness to massage and ASMR. Whether you are looking to target specific areas of tension or want to enhance your general self-care routine, we provide the tools you need to feel better, look better, and live better. We have courses for every level, whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned pro. Our courses provide a wide range in difficulty to accommodate your evolving flow.
Welcome back to Yoga with Jess. We are going to break down some really essential postures.
We are going to rock out with some of the most essential ab exercises that you need to have the abs that you've always dreamed of.
I've blended techniques to help you connect with students, and you can be a rock star teacher.
Wellness Plus is available on Amazon, which you can stream from your home on your phone, tablet, or TV. Join Wellness Plus today and get your first 7 days free.